Hi, Emily here, and I want to do a video today about DID. Basically, what it is, and a little bit about how to understand it a bit better. So, in basic terms, dissociative identity disorder is having two or more markedly distinct identities and recurrent gaps in memory that are not explained by just ordinary forgetting. I'd also like to quickly point out, if you see me glancing down, I'm just looking at notes. I really want this to make a lot of sense and not just be a complete ramble. So, the other thing is, I want to say thank you to my sister for the background. Anyway, DID used to be called multiple personality disorder up until 1994. And then the name was changed because they believe dissociative identity disorder better explains our current understanding of the condition. It's basically just something to do with it being more than just the multiple personalities. DID, where does it come from? It's typically caused by childhood trauma, and that can be different for everybody. That can be severe trauma, such as abuse or war or large-scale life-changing events, or it can be small-scale things that an adult might be absolutely fine to process and understand, but a child might not. They can also be considered traumatic events. So something as simple as watching somebody in an accident, or something even as simple as not understanding concepts such as climate change and deforestation and things like that. Anything that would be traumatic, worrying, stressful for a child that they might not be able to process, and it will be different for every individual, and whatever it is significant enough for that child. Some, in other ways as well, somebody who's experienced the same thing might not develop DID, and might not find it a traumatic event. So it completely depends on the individual and depends on the circumstance of that individual. But that's how it's caused. It's a safety mechanism for the trauma to separate it from the individual. That's what the dissociation is. The dissociation is moving the individual's personality away from the trauma so that they can continue functioning and presenting as normal. DID means that in order to protect yourself, it will create an alter or different personality. I use the word alter. So it will create an alter who will be able to handle that trauma so that the main person, main identity, is able to forget about it, move on as if nothing happened when they switch. So it's a way of protecting oneself, and it starts in childhood. But there is not much in the way of studies, as far as I'm aware, to definitely show when that age bracket is. So when it says it's usually and typically developed in childhood, that's why those words are used. So when it comes to the experiences of what DID is for the individual, I'm going to quickly use mind.org, and any of these links will be in the description below. But mind.org had a really nice way that I found of putting it. So, different aspects of your identity may be in control of your behaviour and thoughts at different times. This can happen in various ways. Each of your identity states may have different patterns of thinking and relating to the world. I really liked the way that was phrased. It made a lot of sense to me. I hope it does for you guys too. but the words different patterns of thinking and relating to the world, just different from your own, like separate, so you know it's not you as a person. Your identity states may come across as different ages, genders. I know that some systems have got, I can't remember what they call them, but essentially fantasy characters, so they might have fairies or other creatures, and that again depends on the system, which is the word that I use for describing a person with dissociative identity disorder, because they have to all work together, so they're a system. That's the word I use. Your different identities, or alters as I call them, may have memories and experience that conflict with each other, so they might remember something that another doesn't. They also can just have conflict within each other, because they're different people essentially. And obviously people with DID may experience amnesia, which means you don't remember what happens when the other part of your identity, or as I call it, alter, is in control. That's the most common way of experiencing amnesia for those suffering with DID, is an alter will take charge, be fronted, and when you come back into being in control, you might not remember what happened. Now I'm going to briefly explain that a bit better. I use the word fronting, or being at the front, for whoever is in charge. So for example, I would say I'm fronting right now. And being further back is what I would explain when you aren't in the front. So imagine DID a little bit like being in a car. I think I've heard this analogy from another YouTuber. I think I heard it from Multiplicity and Me, and I will link their channel as well. But imagine it as a car. So you're in the driver's seat, you're holding the wheel, you're driving, you're out, you're in control, you're fronting. The people in the back seats of the car can switch with you, so they can get out and they can take control of the car, and you can go and sit in the back, and then they're driving, so that means they're fronting. The only other experience that I would quickly like to explain is when you're driving and one of your alters is sat in the passenger seat next to you. They can influence you slightly by saying, hey, could we go this route? Or, hey, I'd like to stop for a minute. You know, they can talk to you and let you know what they're thinking. And that's what I call, and I think other people do as well, co-fronting. And that's basically where you're both there and you can switch between driving seats a little bit easier, and you're both sort of co-conscious. You're both aware of what's going on and you're easier to communicate. I also understand that can be a little bit difficult to understand. And I also understand that having multiple personalities seems almost fantastical and make-believe. It seems almost like a fantasy, but it is very much real. But I do understand that it's not as simple and easy to understand. So honestly, thank you very much for watching this video and trying to understand a little better, because it will really make the difference and really help with anybody, if you experience, who has DID. If you understand a little better and believe them and are there for them and their system, it can make the whole difference, and make them all feel welcome, and that really helps make everybody comfortable. And so honestly, just thank you so much for watching this and trying to learn a little bit more about DID. Anyway, so what does treatment look like for somebody with DID? The first stage is focusing on stabilizing the system and ensuring safety. So that means getting to know everybody in the system, finding their place within the system, establishing a hierarchy if they need it, if there's multiples, and getting to know each other so that you can work better with each other. If everybody is in good terms with each other, you're more likely to have a better relationship with the outside world as well, if you're all trying to work together for a positive, good outcome. So that's the first step, is trying to get all of your alters, all of your parts to work together as a unit. The second stage involves processing the trauma and the traumatic memories. So that might be speaking to a different alter that does remember, or trying to understand where certain depression thoughts come from, and work with depression, anxiety, and all of the alters to establish what the root cause is, and to work with that in understanding it, and overcoming it, basically. The third stage is trying to basically get the way you interact with the world to improve. So it says third stage focuses on life issues, goals, and supporting healthy relationships. So the previous two steps are about working with yourselves and the system. This step is about how it interacts with the world, and as with the whole thing, you're working with the system as a whole. So, for example, if you go to somebody who isn't a DID specialist or doesn't want to work with DID, and you're working on your depression or anxiety, if you don't work as a whole and as a group, somebody in your system might struggle with something and it never be addressed, because that therapist is only working with you. So you really do need to work on your other mental illnesses together as a group and as a whole. So if somebody you know, and if somebody you love has DID, honestly, the best thing that you can do is to educate yourself as much as possible. So again, thank you for watching this video. And also trying to reassure them that you don't believe the misinformation that is spread by movies or other TV portrayals of DID, such as Split or other examples. Letting them know that you understand that they're a system, there's multiple of them, and you're here for all of them. And I know that, again, that can be quite difficult, and it's not something that I expect everybody to just suddenly be okay with. It can make you uncomfortable knowing that somebody you care about is in fact multiple people in a way, but being gentle, being kind, knowing that you've known that personality and they're not any different, working with them and acknowledging the system and saying, as much as it might be uncomfortable, I still am here for you. That will make all the difference to somebody with DID. So thank you again for watching this video. One thing I do want to point out is a lot of places, for example, the NHS have a very, very boiled down, narrow descriptor of what DID is. They say that someone diagnosed with DID may feel uncertain about their identity and who they are. They may feel the presence of other identities, each with their own names, voices, personal histories, and mannerisms, which is true. Or a person with DID might not know that they have these other identities because their amnesia could be that great. They might not know about their system and they might not work well with them yet. So somebody reading this might not believe that it's about them because they haven't experienced that yet. The other thing that they say is memory gaps about everyday events and personal information. Again, I've been diagnosed with dissociative identity disorder, and when I read this, I thought, that's not me. I can't have DID then, because I remember personal information and I remember everyday events. But that is because I've worked with my system, we've all worked together and we want our life to be as cohesive as possible. So we share as much as we can with each other. They may not be my memories while I've been out, but we do share sort of notes with each other mentally, so that if one of my alters is in charge, is fronting, and then I come out, they will let me know what they got up to and what happened, so that I'm not waking up and being like, where am I, what's going on? You know, we've built that relationship. So again, reading this, I didn't know if it, you know, was me. Basically, I would prefer it if resources such as this said maybe or is likely to, instead of it being a hard and fast, you must have, you know, memory issues, because it can turn people away. And everybody is different, everybody experiences DID differently. The only other thing I'm going to put in here is that the prevalence of DID varies wildly from study to study. So some show that anything from 0.01% of the population to 15% of the population have DID. So it really does, there's not been enough studies on DID to have a definitive, there's this many people that have it sort of thing. But what is known is that it's more common in areas of large-scale trauma such as war or natural disasters, because it is a trauma-based disorder. And also that it's more commonly diagnosed in women than men, for whatever reason. Again, I would like to say I'm going to do more videos on DID. I really want to explain more about the experience, and my personal experience, that is, and also some of my alters would really like to do videos of their own in terms of some of their experiences and the way that they think about things, and I would really like for this to be a safe space for them to do that as well. So thank you really very much for watching again, and if you have any questions at all, please put them in the comments section and I will get back to you, or I will make a video, because I want to do a video on all the questions that I have been asked, because it's a different insight from my own. I live with this, so a lot of these questions I'd never thought of, but could really help give some insight to somebody else. So any questions, please leave them, and I will answer them either in the reply or in my next video. So I really hope this has helped you understand DID a bit better, and I hope you've enjoyed watching. So thank you ever so much, have a lovely rest of your day, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.